wima.
So welcome to podcast number 3 with the Inspire Empire team here, the lovely Valerie, and my name's Danielle Lackfold. So this week we're actually going to talk about living our own story and how we tend to live in our own story, but many people just don't even recognize that or even have a concept of what that really looks like.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about this week. Do you want to expand on that a little bit, or do you want me to?
Either.
Oh, you go. You're pretty good.
Both good.
Oh, we are.
That's
We're
our
awesome.
story. We're the best.
We are. And we believe it.
Many others don't, but that's okay.
It doesn't matter, right? That's the important part about all of this, I think. And that is the message. Like, at some time, you've got to let go of what other people, you think other people are saying, doing, whatever, because really, in the bigger scheme of things,
It doesn't
not
matter.
that important.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you know, we also would like to share that sometimes, and we've all done this, we've done this as well, we stay in a story that actually holds us back, that actually isn't true to where we are and what we really feel. It's a negative story, it's words, it's repetitive words and thoughts, and a story of non-belief in ourselves and our abilities, and you know where we can go in life.
Yeah, because how many times do you, or have you in the past heard yourself say, "Oh, you idiot," you know, and check in on that. Are you an idiot? I don't think so.
Or did you just have an aha moment,
Yeah.
or moment?
Where did that come from? Were you just in that moment of recognizing that you didn't do something you wanted to do a different way? So rather than the idiot, go, "Oh, wow, thanks for letting me see that I could do it this way." You know, and that's creating a lovely relationship with yourself, and it's not sitting in that old negative story so much.
Yeah. And also you've got to be careful that you're not holding on to the stories of what ifs and what could have been, you know, because the what ifs and what could have been, that's a moment in time that's past, whether you believe in time or energy or whatever it is, but that's a moment that's not there anymore. So should have been, could have been is just such a waste of thought and energy process. That's what can be.
Yeah.
What is happening now.
The moment.
Yeah, and how wonderful can each moment be if I connect to the better aspects of how I feel about myself.
Because our stories can often be what other people have perceived us as being, or what we think, which is actually more the truth of what other people perceive us as being. So I'll give you an example. I had this man that had a really bad stutter, like a dreadful stutter, and he just naturally perceived that that stutter was his and that he would just always stutter. But when he did some work around that, he actually found that he'd not been able to communicate with his dad when he was a tiny little boy about something that had happened that was out of his control, and his dad had yelled at him, like really yelled at him. So that little tiny boy for the rest of his life took on this belief that he didn't have permission to talk. So he would stutter as he was trying to talk. And the moment he realized that that wasn't from him, that it was actually something that had happened outside of himself, and he'd made that unconscious decision within his own little body as a 2-year-old, that all released, and he changed his story, and he never stuttered again.
Wow, that's wonderful.
It's a really powerful story, because when you think about that, that's everything in our lives. If we take on beliefs of others, they're only our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and we can release them. We can actually step out of their story and embrace our own story to have a better relationship with ourselves, more forgiving.
Because at the end of the day, even though that experience did control the thought process and the way that he was thinking about himself, at the end of the day, the only person that can really control your thoughts and your feelings is yourself. But we allow other people's, or the view of how other people think and feel to invade our own space, to invade us and how we feel about ourselves. And then it becomes a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, actually, there's some science around this, you know. Between the age, they believe that, well, science says that between the age of 0 to 7, we take on thoughts, feelings, and emotions because we don't have the manageability of how to cope. So we take on different thoughts, and it may be that you put your hand up in class and you gave an answer when you were 5 years of age, and the teacher knocked you down about that reply and all the kids laughed at you. So you imagine that, right? Little kid, 5 years of age, shrinking down into themselves and that gut feeling. So therefore, that they may go through life then thinking that their story is they're not worthy of being heard, right? And they will carry that through their life. But when they realise that they are so worthy of being heard, so worthy of speaking their mind, so worthy of putting the effort in to find answers, you know, then they can step out of the old story and into a kinder, more loving story.
Yeah, and also so worthy to be seen.
Yeah.
To be seen, you know, a little bit more than just skin deep seen. To be seen as who they really are.
Yeah, that spirit, that light. Because we've said it before, human nature really, what are we seeking in this life? We're seeking to be safe and to be happy and to be connected. And when we've got those three things going on within ourselves, more importantly than anybody else, then organically we become connected to everybody else.
Yeah, and we become a little bit more open and understanding rather than all blocked in this energy space of negativity and self abuse and negative self-talk.
Deprivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not taking a breath to see ourselves, not honouring our wholeness, and the fact that the moment that we came into this world, we were pure potential, pure, unadulterated potential, just beautiful, beautiful light, you know. And we have the ability to step back, take a breath, see who we truly are, because we are extraordinary. Yeah. We are magnificent beings, you know, and the planet needs us. It needs each of us to be that kind, loving energy.
Yes, and supportive energy of ourselves and others.
Yeah.
You know, that's what compassionate is, actually, more than just recognising and sending love to others that aren't experiencing things as good as us or different to us, but it's also, you know, the connection through the understanding and being the best version of ourselves, so then we can help others, so then we can connect to them.
Yeah, we've actually probably, at this time in the world right now, it's probably a really good example. We've got a lot of media and fear going on in the world, and it's good to send love and gratitude and healing to those people. Like, we want all life to have that love, that gratitude, that healing, but we also need to remember that they would want us to live our best life. If they were living in our life, they would want us to be humble with the magnificent ability of everything that we have here in our country. You know, to not have to live down here, but to live where we can reach the limits, because that is a part of honouring our experience in this life. That's why we are here in these physical bodies in this part of the world. This is our journey at this time.
But also honouring their journey, you know, their struggles and, you know, the stories that are being created, sometimes through things that are totally without their control. Honouring that and trying to share with them some loving energy to perhaps relieve them of the pattern of their stories that have been created through something without of their control. And through that energy, quite often there is some sort of resolution or some sort of opportunity that shows up to move forward.
And we can share our energy. We can share our energy, But we have to check in on whether we're coming from fear or love. Because if we're coming from fear, then we're feeding fear. If we're coming from love, then we're expanding, and we're coming from love, which is what they need. They need our love, our energetic love, not our fear. We can say, we know it's intolerable what's going on. It's unacceptable what's going on. But to buy into the fear of it is only going to endorse media and endorse more and more and more of this through the history as we progress. And we've been doing it for millennia. You know, it's time to start sending serious love to ourselves and to everyone and step away from the fear.
And so then, as you know, things happen in life that can build up so much anger and hatred, and you know, you can say rightly so, because it's a tragedy and it can be quite horrific to the individual. But when you start to live in that story constantly and hold yourself in the worst moment of your life, it can actually have a repetitive impact on things that happen to you. So, you know, I'm not saying you can just walk away happy, everything's good, because it's not like that. But when you start to recognize your story as someone who is still worthy of living a better life and who's still worthy of being, you know, all that you can be, even if you have come from unfortunate circumstances, honoring the power in that. You know, that we are so much more than the thoughts that we are thinking in each present moment. And we are so much more than all that emotional energy that we're holding from their past experiences. And we are so much more than our physical body that sometimes becomes damaged from those experiences. We are a beautiful being of light, beautiful being of light energy. And once you expand on that, then you can bring your thoughts, your emotional body back into a state where you can see through all those horrendous things, all those things that have happened to you.
And it does bring us back that full circle to relationships, because we are in a relationship with ourselves from the moment we arrive here in this world to the moment that we leave. And that is about the full experience of this human experience. Yes, we have a spiritual experience, and yes, we are light and we are infinite and we are forever. But in this human experience, to have a relationship with ourselves that is a healthy, happy, positive, calm relationship, and to work on that balance, that allows others to have that balance too, because what we send out is what we receive. And when we send it out to the world, then that is what we receive. And we're able to send it out because we have it, you know. I think it was Wayne Dyer that said, you can't give somebody oranges if you don't have an orange tree or somebody to help you grow those oranges. Love is the same. Gratitude is the same. If you don't have love or gratitude, you cannot give it to others.
Yeah.
So find that lovely relationship within and connect with your spirit and share that love. Step out of the old story and write your own story consciously and creatively and blossom.
And
thrive.
shine your beautiful light.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be, like we've said, through all our series, it doesn't have to be an explosion. I mean, yeah, how lovely would that be? But it can just be one moment, one thing at a time. So where you might be constantly saying, oh, you're an idiot, or oh, you're useless, or whatever you might be saying, you can say, today I feel positive, I'm great. And if things, change the way, that direction, that's okay, because new directions are good. Just changing little wordings like that to yourself, how you think and feel.
And catching it, taking that responsibility for it too, in a kind way, not in a harsh way, because you don't want to be the enemy. You want to be the person that absolutely steps up to your adventure, to this experience, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Actually, I think it was Wayne Dyer that was saying, was it Wayne Dyer? Yeah, he said that if you have to change another person to make yourself happy, then maybe you need to start with changing yourself first, because that's the only control you actually have. So when we find that story within and start to consciously write it, then we can actually then allow ourselves to create a whole new story for not just us, but for our circles, and it just ripples out.
Yeah, and so going a little bit diverse, because I know Danielle's going to punch me later for this. No, only joking. She's not a violent
I'll
woman.
do it on screen.
I'm
good.
She's not a violent lady, really.
But, you know,
Bruce's no.
Wednesdays. I'm allowed to be on Wednesdays.
But so talking about the energy of how we hold emotions and how sometimes, so the one that really fascinates me is anger. Anger, because sometimes someone comes at us with anger and our first response is to fight back with anger. You know, they're angry at us, blah, blah, blah. And so we're going to be angry back. And what happens when you do that? It's almost like you're sending out your fishing rod and catching their anger and bringing it and feeding yourself with their anger, and you become angry. And then in your energy space, there's so much anger that actually really isn't even yours to start off with. And when you tend to do that, it becomes your first response. And then before you know it, you're just one of those people that can only be angry in life and see negative in things. So a little suggestion for how I've been able to help myself with, you know, feeling a little bit angry off and on, is when someone comes at me with anger or angry behavior, take a breath, you know, back to our breath. Take a breath and then think about, am I even angry with what they're angry about? Like, am I even really angry? Like, yeah, sure, you have a right to stand up for yourself, but at the end of the day, I don't even know why they're angry. I'm not even angry about that. And then just take a breath and let it be. Don't take it on board. Don't fight back with anger. Just let it be. You will start to feel that you feel less angry and less frustrated about things, because at the end of the day, it's your story, not theirs, and you've been taking on part of how they feel, part of their story.
Very much. I actually had a really good chat about anger with this guy that he would yell at his wife, but he wouldn't yell at his neighbour. And I always found that really interesting, because he absolutely loved his wife and he thought his neighbour was a little bit of a, you know, how you be. But isn't it, anger is such a controlling thing when you don't consciously think about it, because really it's an indulgence.
Yeah.
And not recognising that you have a choice. And if you can yell at your wife who you love and not yell at your neighbour who you don't really like, then you do have control. You just haven't thought about it like that. And when he talked to me about it and he was talking about it and he realised that, all of a sudden it was like your boom, right? It was like an explosion of conscious thought that he actually had a choice and he'd never considered that before.
And then bringing about, you know, the anger in the first place, is it brought about by fear, the fear around lack of control?
Yeah.
And the fear of needing to control someone else. Why do you need to do that? So, you know, fear comes into it as well.
And he actually, he's a good example, because he actually said that he had always done it because his dad did it, so he didn't know that he'd actually ever really had a choice. To him it was just what he explained as natural, but the moment he chose to see it for what it was just an indulgent behaviour that he didn't need to buy into, everything changed. You know, everything changed. So we do get to consciously rewrite our own story.
So over the next week, what part of your behaviour, what part of your story are you going to just have a little review, have a little look at? Is there something in your story that's not really about you, it's about someone else or an experience? Is there a line in your story that you need to change?
Yeah.
So you can have a happy ever after ending.
And it is a beautiful journey to recognise these things. These are power-ups. And the more gentle and kind we are to ourselves about these learnings and looking at them and deciding that, oh, well, I'm going to make an effort to not do that, it is a beautiful gift for yourself, but also a beautiful gift for the world, because you're finding a piece of your higher self which spreads the peace.
As you can speak to anyone that knows me, my family or friends or clients that I work with, I have in my life now switched my anger around and being frustrated and a bit judgmental at myself to actually having a bit of a laugh at myself, not in a critical way, just joyous way, thinking, oh wow, did you really say that? Did you really do that? Oh my gosh. And then it just makes light of the situation, oh wow, did that really happen? Oh, that's okay.
It's kind of like cleaning out an old cluttered room of all these little bits of old behaviour and cleaning it out and being left with this divine space. It's very refreshing.
It is.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's it for this week. If you've got any comments or you'd like to put in some feedback, just pop it down below and we'll get back to you.
Lovely to chat with you, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon, and thank you for your time. Have a great week.
Inspire your empire, because you deserve it.
Your empire.